The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nigeria Decides 2023 on the big issue. Earlier, we were here looking at the situation in the states, and of course, we were able to get updates from our correspondents in the states in the ongoing governorship and state houses of assembly election holding today, March 18, 2023. And of course, we are back again for the second segment of Nigeria Decides in 2023. And this time around, we are looking at the issues at stake, the very big issue at stake. Well, the election is still ongoing. And of course, voting is almost rounding up. And feelers from the states has indicated that the governorship and state assembly election was still not free from violence, irregularity, and other forms of electoral malpractices. And of course, that is what we are going to be looking now. And with me here in the studio are our very vibrant in-house analyst. We have Silas Ezogu. And of course, there's a special guest here in the studio with us on the big issue. We are talking about Chief Robert Opara. He's also with us here, and of course, he's going to help us break down the big issues as it borders on the 2023 governorship and state assembly election. You're welcome, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Well, before we proceed into looking at most of the violence, ballot box snatching, and other forms of irregularity recorded in some of the states where the elections are taking place. First of all, we want to see the news from Lagos reaching us, confirming what our editor, regional editor Southwest had said. George Okoje had said that there are very brighter chances for APC, and because the voting pattern in Lagos State had not, in the governorship and state assembly elections, had never taken to that of the presidential election. It's like the APC would definitely win the state. And that too has come true, or appears to be coming true, where the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is reported to have won the polling unit of the Labour Party candidate, Rose Vivo. That is polling unit 045. Well, the chances are bright for APC. But let's look at some states where issues of violence, irregularities, and other forms of electoral malpractices have been reported. The police are said to have arrested two for vote buying in Ogun at Ward 3, Unit 9 in Ifo local government area. And at the same time, we are hearing that 3 persons have been killed as violence erupts in the same Ogun state. Then in Lagos, the Arise crew members were attacked in the palace of the Elegusi. Earlier, before the attack on the journalists from Arise TV, we also have it that the Channels TV crew members were also attacked in that same area. And of course, we are also having a situation here where duplicate and fake result sheets were said to be in circulation in Nasarawa State. The former Minister of Information and a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Labaran Mako, alleged that duplicate results and fake ones for that matter are in circulation in the north central state of Nasarawa. And of course, still in Ogun, there are cases of sporadic shooting as hoodlums snatch ballot boxes in Iperu. And of course, we still have a situation where journalists and INEC officials were chased out of a polling unit. And also in Benue, a ballot box snatcher is said to have been shot dead by the police. And then in Sokoto, EFCC intercepted a bale of fabrics. This time around, the vote buying took a different dimension. What in those days our forefathers were doing, called trade by barter. You go to the market, it's not about using currency to buy what you want to buy. You just trade whatever you want to buy with another valuable item. In Sokoto this time around, the method of buying the votes had to do with releasing some bale of fabrics. Then you use it to induce the electorate, the voters, to get their votes. We'll be looking at that. And of course, in Delta State, we also learned that even before the election, civil servants, so we're giving 10,000 each. And in Bayelsa State, the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has condemned the attack on INEC materials in the state. Well, I think we'll just have to start with you, Chief Robert. What can you say about all these forms of irregularity, malpractice, and violence by thugs who have taken it upon themselves to disrupt the election by either attacking journalists and INEC officials or chasing them away outrightly from the polling unit?
Wow. The bottom line and the A to Z of what we are seeing today is that we've not really learned a lesson of note when it comes to the election in Nigeria. I had a program on my show this afternoon, and I had a guest, and the subject of that program was how comes that we bring out the best of our best, send them to Namibia, send them to South Africa, send them to different countries, Tanzania and all that, to go and be part of organizing, making sure that the elections were certified okay in those countries. How come that we are going to go to other countries to look at what other countries are doing, and meanwhile we lack the wherewithal to help our own nation to arrange an election process like this?
Yes, because sorry to intercept you, you could see that was one of the Arise TV crew member that was attacked.
Yes, of
course. Yeah, at the Elegusi Palace in Lagos State.
Yes. So at the end of the day, who is fooling who? And INEC can shout until the sky fall apart. Bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, INEC was not prepared for this election. The Nigerian security forces were not prepared for this election because whether you like it or not, when you see someone that is committing a fraud around the polling booth and you say you're handicapped, you can't help, you can't do anything, and you're watching atrocities being perpetrated right before your sight and you can't do anything. I don't know what else to say. Is that policeman tutored on exactly what to do during the election? Or you're just there to make up a number of those that are in uniform and all that stuff. So I'm not too happy. This election has actually taken us back instead of moving forward. That's what I've realized in this election. We have not achieved anything. We've not learned anything further from what we knew before. We are falling apart, going by all the information. How can we be talking about snatching ballot box at this time? And again, I think the international community uh, um, have actually, spoiled our system. Because at the end of the day, if you want to know the amount of money the international community have pumped into Nigeria's election is beyond what we Nigerians can ever think of. So how else can look at a situation whereby Nigerian government needs 10 billion, and at the end of the day, uh, 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 um, UN agencies and other bodies affiliated with the international community will actually dole out 20 billion, $30 billion. Who wouldn't be drunk? Do you understand? So I just think that we have actually invited these people to come to Nigeria to pamper us, and we no longer know the value for money and all that. So nobody seemed to bottom line is that INEC is culpable. INEC has not done very, very well. INEC has taken us back almost 20 years back by what we have seen during this election.
Well, thank you, Chief Robert. Silas, you heard what Chief Opara has just said. But now, how can we describe this kind of a situation? Should we agree with what Chief is saying here? Saying the security agencies and INEC were actually not prepared for the election. Why are things like that? Preparation, mm, I don't think must be commensurate with the act itself. If the act itself is bound to take place, no amount of preparation will stop it. What we will not know is that what were the measures taken by the commission and the security agencies to prevent this situation. For instance, we heard that the police arrested two for vote buying in Ogun and then killed three in violence that erupted in that same Ogun. And then a vote buyer was also killed in Benue State. Huh? A ballot box snatcher was also killed in Benue State. So with this kind of action by the security agency, and then we even hear like in Enugu State, the governor, Wanyi was saying, commending INEC for early commencement of the process and for the smooth sealing process that had been recorded so far. With all this, should we say this pocket of violence, vote buying, even with bills or fabrics, are enough to say INEC and the security agencies were not ready?
Yeah. For now, you cannot know the scale of violence and other issues around the election question for now. I'm sure the full report of that will come in the days to come. But the ones you've seen on TV, online reports from correspondents across the country, shows, I will agree with the Chief Robert that INEC and police are culpable in a way. I do not think that they're not ready. I think that they are sufficiently ready.
Either they were ready and they were not sufficiently ready.
They were ready.
Not sufficiently ready.
Listen, I have one
Uh,
one philosophy about the way Nigeria works. Anywhere you see Nigeria, things are not working. Money has been shared. The system has been corrupted. Anywhere you see someone not doing his work, eh, that person has been corrupted. You see police deploy hundreds of thousands. You see them, preparing, doing dressing uniform, carrying their guns, doing some mock exercises to get ready. You understand?
Get ready for what?
For the election, to protect voters, the vote and the voters election. We saw them do all those things. On the day of election, no show. Okay. Uh, from reports we saw on TV and from our own reporters, you saw people the flashpoints that newspapers, media, civil society has identified that these places are flashpoints where voters are likely going to be molested. He didn't see anybody there stopping anybody from molesting anybody. And here they didn't know, they knew. So I mentioned in one program in the past that a former deputy commissioner of police in Lagos either resigned or died, I don't know which one, and became the deputy head of Agbo in Lagos. Such a lucrative job. You understand? So tells you that there's a lot of money around that kind of stuff. It's a lucrative business. So, like I said myself, that whenever things are not working, when people are not doing their job, when they should do, they prepare sufficient to do it, they become that be compromised. INEC had 4 years of plan. 4 years of plan. They did off season, right season, left season, and we all commended. They raised everybody's hope. And on 25th of February, the leadership with him. Now you can see that the voter turnout had, became so poor that people were complaining the governors are saying people are voting because people's enthusiasm had been dampened. But even though who tried to still come out to vote in places, even before the election, we have tapes of meetings being held, people being threatened, ethnic profiling, hate speech, threat to life and property. In the last session, we saw a popular talk in Lagos, a billionaire of billionaire talk, being shepherded by policemen. And when he made ethnic profiling statements, threats, and so on, he's still walking free. So, if you see all these things, you know that if you're not, I had some residents in some areas of Lagos that some TV people like they said they were hiding in their gates to know whether they can come out and vote because of the threats in the area. They have been profiled for attack after the election, and they say they say they can come. But in one polling unit, the reporter was there. Nobody came to vote. Nobody came to vote when police drove to the point, and the reporters came. I'm sure that one of those reporters are so did that place, they run away. And this is where forecast by media, by reports of society. So I'm not saying that they're not ready. I'm only saying that they fail to do their job because of certain reasons, which may not be far-fetched. Now, when you talked about all the issues that are happening across, in pockets in which police have acted, some of them have acted based on their natural reaction to do their job. I'm not saying that the penalty for bus snatching was to shoot the person dead. Possibly try to disable him or I'm not saying that it's a death penalty stuff. I mean that was like a chic. They should have found a way to arrest him. Or stop him from. I think they can't stop from committing that crime. They should find a way to catch him. The police the security code is that instead of shooting somebody who's innocent or something, allow him to run away, we're going to catch him one other day. So I'm not supporting the fact that he was shot today, for a crime that person carry some prison time. But I think that those people reacted and tried to stop him from committing wrong. We've seen other places where the police did not try in any way to stop people from committing acts of violence, acts of intimidation in the system. That they don't know. They know. But for some reason, maybe because the overlords in those areas have control of the system. In Nigeria, how to be a big man is to be above the system, to be above security. That if they set the law, you cannot abide by law, you can break it and get away and nothing happens. That's how to be a big man in Nigeria. So, George, I won't say that pocket. I think we need to see the full report of the election after this to know how much violence was. But even from Enugu, I spoke to somebody, okay, the Labour candidate, after candidate, the former minister, on the platform, was saying from his own situation room that talks belong to the PDP in the state. They wanted to and I think another person in another area of told me that since weeks now, in fact, he told me before, like 2 days ago, that some folks carried in by PDP had been arrested in places in some parts of Enugu. Their mission to dissolve the election in those areas, to make sure that those votes do not count. Because if they dissolve the election in this area, it will drive people away from voting, and then the election will be cancelled there. Via their own who they support, those places the election will go those places. So they have advantage instead of unlocking for them, so they have been arrested. The other thing also he said was that he saw that what the governorship governing party said was doing, they were to share to 2,000 and 1,000 to vote their way, because when the last election held, that was swept everywhere. So what they thought they could do to win the state back was to buy the whole 2,000 naira in place where you can do it. But for now, I don't know whether people voted the money and voted to PDP or whatever. That will be after the result. But I'm saying that even those who are sharing that money, it's not as if police don't know they're sharing the money. Some of them have police escorts. The only thing in this Niger system is so corrupt that all the policemen there will be thinking, most of them, not all of them, some of them are good guys, very professional guys. So I would think, look at this money that is being pushed. How much of it can I get from the system? If you promise him that his own shape has been taken care of, then he plays along or keeps a blind eye. We saw, let me just learn a bit. We saw the issue of River State election when the lawmaker was caught with dollars to share. We saw the way all the list of where is going to share the money, including INEC, security, all is said there. So that's why this shady system in Nigeria has corrupted the system. I don't want to go that way, but this I agree with Robert that INEC and police are culpable. But the other thing I don't agree with him that they're not ready. What I say that they are compromised in some places. And in some places, security is not provided for them to do their job. If someone who are ready to do their job the way it's supposed to be done, if they look around and see that their life is under threat and there's nobody to protect them, they will do what they're doing to keep alive. And see, the first law, is law of self-preservation. Preserve this side that God gave you first. The combination and that if you sit there, they kill you, the election goes on, and that's the end of the story. So I think that I blame mostly security agencies for the failure we have seen, because even if INEC officials are trying to do the wrong thing, it's up to the police there to check them, to come over there and check them and stop them from compromising. So I want to stop here for now, but I agree with Robert completely that this election has taken us back in the days.
We'll get the country back.
Has taken us
20 years
back in the day. We thought that we have crossed this corner where the digital election is not subject to this kind of questioning. There's a lot of question mark on the credibility of this election, the image that INEC has created in Nigerians. I was in a forum somewhere, and there's some people say that the INEC had produced its own president and kept its own president. The Nigeria knows who is their own president. And these are people who are not that learned. The only thing to that INEC has declared their own president who settled them. I tried to tell them, look, they said no, they don't want to hear that. They know that who their president is, they know who INEC president is. So even the new administration coming in has a credibility problem, because INEC did not do the system, the process to show that it is clear enough for people to agree that this system is fair and fair.
Well, thank you very much, Silas. What I don't really understand here is this idea of the fact that journalists were being attacked in certain areas, especially in Lagos. There are Rise TV crew members being attacked in the palace of the royal father. I think those journalists would have gone there to do their duty. Naturally, the idea of election coverage is that you cannot cover everybody. Sometimes you sample very important personality. And maybe the TV crew felt that, look, it would be better for us to go and capture how the royal father, the legacy, will be casting his vote, and let's see what is happening in the palace. And the only thing you see is an attack.
No,
That
no,
too cast a spell in the eyes of the ordinary man because you can't even.
Let me come in before you land so I can carry on.
Yeah.
They didn't just go there because they want to do a casting vote. That was the history already. In the last election, he came out and said the source of strange faces he didn't know. Casting was their ballot here. They didn't know them. There was violence in that area, that same area in February 25. But it's that he didn't know that the INEC had moved some, voters to other places around because of to manage the numbers. So when he said it actually sparked some kind of angst in people that there's some kind of mushy going on here. So some kind of hacking going on there. Then ahead of this election, we also had some of the comments that made that they were going to do a national festival that will not allow visitors and women to come out. All those. So, really, that place was the marked place that, this person is obviously okay. And even though he did not come out openly like the other Zipale that says if you're not voting APC, don't in this area, pack and go. But everyone knew that that place was a flash point because of what happened in the presidential election. So those who went to visit there to see how the election would go, whether it would allow to go peacefully or not. And it so happened. Where people want to do bad things, they don't want you to see it. So for journalists to come and brief such at what is happening there, they feel that the secret, whatever wrong they are doing there, is being exposed to the world. So I was not surprised that there was a blowback there. The only thing I suppose that if person was if that place was a place of a palace, that the palace man there would have been noble enough to restrain the subjects if there's no ability is events. But in these days, you can be appointed anything if you are connected to the right place, whether you are criminal or not. You can be made something.
Well, thank you. I think there's a sense in what Sela said here because naturally they say there's no smoke without fire. According to Nigeria was one, one of Nigeria's greatest literary artists. Say truth does not run in the great time for nothing. Apart from the channel, the Arise TV crew members that were attacked, there are reports that earlier in the day, these journalists were attacked there again. This time around, it were members of the channel's television team. What can you make of this? Because whenever situations of violence, malpractices, which is a state where even those on
Neutral media men.
those who are on special duties are being attacked, like NEC officials being chased away together with journalists in Ogun State. Whenever we begin to see this case, then you know that matter is serious. As I said, they went there because they knew that something was fishy around the area based on the alarm with in the last presidential election. What do you think?
See, my brother, organizations like Guild of Editors, Nigerian Union of Journalists, and by whatever name, professional name we give to ourselves. Bottom line is that every platform peopled by journalists, they have leadership. And part of the roles that leaders of journalists, either at the guild level or at the association level, they need to know that election is from now to this time. And therefore, they can make continual public statements to show Nigerians that, hey, if you touch our member, it is done abroad. If you touch any of our members, and we can trace it to you, number one, we'll give you a life ban. Anything around you and about you will not be touched by these organizations. And that's the bottom line. And number two, the Nigerian police can no longer afford to be docile, because a journalist can also be your brother, a journalist can also be your father, can be your sister, can be your cousin, if you annihilate someone like that because he's doing a legitimate job professionally,
Constitutionally.
and constitutionally in a way that, so bottom line is that this must be a case of, federal offense. Because if what we are known for, if the only thing that we should be remembered for, excuse my language, is brown envelope, because that's what people think, that's what we represent. Do you understand? But at the end of the day, like I said, go to different schools, you see that students, pupils, university students, their parents are, top-notch journalists. So as far as I'm concerned, nobody has a right to touch a journalist because he's doing his legitimate job. Now, looking at it again from another angle, running up a program as this, as far as I'm concerned, INEC over the years, whether they call themselves INEC, whether they call themselves by whatever name, as long as they are the election umpire in this country, they have shown us crass irresponsibility as an institution. They have not shown us anything, they have not proved to us that they are going to change overnight. Look at what has just happened with so-called beavers. Look at what has happened in the electoral process. This is a machine that was set up to do a job, and they left it out either by the leadership of the organization or by hook or crook. They left it. That thing did not operate itself. Someone overnight, over morning, in the afternoon, they went to tweak that thing, and the thing went bizarre. And that is why Nigeria is on our knees today, because nobody even knows what will happen after this process. So bottom line, my brothers, I am completely angst about how can we have an institution as huge as INEC, and the leader of this group is facing Nigerians and is talking absolute rubbish. Rubbish.
Well, thank you very much, Chief. We'll come back to you. At this point, we will actually take a short break and do some kind of in-house announcements and little publicity. Before we do that, we are hoping that as we go for this short break, our viewers will contribute constructively to the conversation on Nigeria Decides, on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And as we come back, we're expecting that our viewers will begin to contribute, make their own contribution, their views, share their views by way of their comments. We expect will start trickling in as soon as we're back. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
Dear Nigerians, your vote is your voice. Do not neglect it. Do not trample on it. Never exchange it for anything.
Vote wisely. Say no to violence. The power to create a big change is in our hands, and we should use it responsibly.
Yes, we have had enough. It's time for us to rise up and fight. Fight for our rights. Fight for truth. Fight for salvation.
Do not be intimidated. Your votes are valuable. Do not let anyone buy them or intimidate you into voting a certain way. In this forthcoming election, say no to violence.
sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on Nigeria Decides 2023 on the Big Issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, in today's edition of Nigeria Decides 2023, we are looking at the governorship and state assembly election holding currently in 28 states of the Federation. Cases of electoral malpractice, vote buying, ballot snatching, and attack on officials on special duties have been recorded. Silas, let's look at Nasarawa State, where the Labour Party hurricane swept during the presidential election. That state is a state where the government in power, the party in power, the governing APC is actually in trouble. In the last presidential election, the Labour Party presidential candidate won. And in the National Assembly election, I think that was a state where very smaller party would have considered the decision. One like the SDP, and then we had two senatorial seats, and then the PDP winning one, and then the governing party not winning anyone. The same thing with the House of Representatives seat. And now in that state, a very prominent political figure, a former governor of, a former minister of information, and a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party is alleging duplicates, fake result sheets in circulation. What would you make out of this situation? Is it that the governing party have decided something that one would say biblically, they would have said the kingdom of God suffered violence right from the days of Abraham. That violence taken time. What is happening in that state? We're beginning to see issues of fake results, duplicates, and so forth.
I say I will not be surprised the kind of expression that we said was assisted after the hurricane will be. Hurricane will be in February 25
election.
Presidential.
No, of course, we can actually agree that yes, it was actually. So what he did in Lagos baffled me.
Not just Lagos, across
the state.
If you get the correct results of what happened in
Nasarawa,
the states, go the correct of what happened in the states, he got a lot more than people are giving. The NI gave him. And that's why I told him to go to put the government. It's up to him to prove it. But what I'm saying is that the Labour Party they didn't have any councillor before it joined. They didn't have any councillor, local government chairman, or nothing, nobody. So just his name, his principle driving the party. The people who won, it was under him that Kekena Pep and Okada people won election. Who didn't even campaign, just that they have a local party.
Labour Party,
I know a person in the Enugu State who was going to buy oil to put in his keke. When they told me I want to say one word, say one election, say what election. I forgot that I was doing one election. That's in the city of Enugu. Okay. Now, after that election
in Lagos, sorry to cut you short, we heard that most celebrities like actors and actresses were maybe
if they had known, they would have been on the Labour Party. They would have won. They would have just. But so I work for my friend say if you are not, we're going to from the kitchen now and take a Labour Party. I had another place. That's how it was, And then in Abuja here, and then so I was not surprised that. States which were shaken by that hurricane will go back to say, look, once beaten, twice shy. We don't allow this to happen, otherwise it will sweep them out of power.
It actually did.
I saw some people really, first, the governors that want to go for Senate, the White House and all that, yeah, and all lawmakers and so, that's why I find I see a kind of targeted structure in national assembly now. Okay, so the governors now, because they have two things: either they are leaving office and they want to plant their surrogate to protect what they have stolen, hmm? or they are running for second term. So those issues are so dear to them, their life, political life, and even safety and security, freedom after leaving office, depends on being able to win the state. So having seen what happened, there was no way they were going to allow free and fair election in that state. They will do everything to stop it. But my people say that it's only a tree that since someone come to cut it down and not for the dear life. Even an animal, once you say you are coming to push it, it will take off. Not to talk human beings. So this time they now strategize to do all in their power, legally or legally, by hook or crook, to retain power in the state. This day reported in this cover the other day that their own decision has revealed that government state want to rig the election by all means. That's what I'm saying.
Once beaten, twice shy.
You could see in Lagos.
The won't happen.
You could see in Lagos. The ethnic profiling of Indigo,
the presidential
and other
election.
Nigerians. Yes, because of the margin of victory. Forget the 10,000 INEC report. PDP said Labour won by more than 800,000 votes. Forget it. That's what PDP said. Labour won. Not, if Labour was claiming it, I would say the Labour was making a wide claim. But another party is saying that Stirring say that Labour, its opponent won by 950,000, which was 800 something thousand votes ahead of APC. So seeing the raw result, forget about it. They now the truth is the truth. It's always people that play themselves the lie. You can tell that to yourself. So having seen the result, they know that if anything happens, the vicinity of what happened in the 25th July, the ruling economy hegemony in Lagos will be broken. You know that government a democratic oligarch controlled by one man who cycled becomes governor of House of Rep or Senator or Councillor for the last 24 years. So they feel that if this is about to happen again, that hold that they use in bragging that they are the owner of Lagos will lose it. So that's why I found out that hate speech, threats have been mounting, attacks on people's shops and homes, breaking up people have been going on since 3 weeks ago on Abetel. So in others, apart from, I'm not just talking about Lagos, in Enugu too, the powers that be also are doing everything to make sure that the PDP retain the state because they allow them access to power. In other states, to go to about Nassau, I'm not surprised that Nassau is complaining that APC is doing everything to retain power because it lost the presidential election to Labour and to SDP and other parties in the national assembly election. So if it needs doing fake result sheets to confuse people, they'll go to everyone to do that. It's even better in that way. But those who can prove and prove the fraud than the idea of going to take people's side or beat people up and cause body harm or destroy ballot box and all these things. So all these things happen. The favourite to election did 2 things. It does the 2,000 of people to vote, okay, and raise the expression of political actors that have incumbency powers in states to act with all impunity to frustrate the process and take power by high conclude. That's what's happening. This area is going to help you. It will go to be nationwide. In all states, the state will do everything to retain power and not be swept away by change forces looking for change. That's what I see in this whole thing.
Thank you very much, Chief. To actually conclude with all the cases of violence, ballot box snatching, vote buying, even with bales of fabric and other items. And the attacks on journalists, the chasing out of INEC officials, former President Goodluck Jonathan also raising the alarm in Bayelsa State over the attack on INEC materials in Bayelsa. And we see the police killing a ballot box snatcher, soldiers in Benue State. All this showed that as against the calls by INEC to ensure that they avoid a repeat of what happened in the presidential election. The security agency assuring that this time around it will be a different ballgame. Do you think that the Nigerian voters will still have that confidence in the electoral umpire INEC that their votes will really count in the 2023 general election?
See, my brother, I give a whole lot of kudos to the youth of this country. I give a lot of kudos to women that came out from the back end of what they do and say, this is our fight. And the youth have said, this is our fight. And whether these criminals like it or not, because someone that had been in power over the years and years and years and years, technically, emotionally, physically, you are completely barren. You're clueless. You don't have a job, even in your psyche. And at the end of the day, you still don't want to shift so that let the system take its course. Because that's the fight, that's the psychological fight that you see on the streets of Nigeria. They don't want to let go. They want to continue with the Rankadede mentality in Nigeria. And they are so afraid what will happen to us if we allow this. They call us miscreants, but we are not miscreants. These youngsters that are coming up, they're calling them miscreants. And at the end of the day, what do you get? This is the year. Actually, they missed it, a few years ago when the NSAS started. That was the opportunity they missed. And I'm sure they went back and said, nope, we're not having it. And this is what we are getting today. So I want to congratulate the Nigerian youths. I want to congratulate Nigerian women. I want to congratulate those that have never smelled the corridors of power that actually backed this right horse. These are the people that I worship today. Because at the end of the day, how can we continue to stay in one place? Status quo syndrome is a sin. And by the way, my friend, told me while I was discussing this with him, he said, with adequate preparation and knowledge, devil can meet God. Do you understand? So what I'm saying is that I think we have, all of us here, we have contributed our own quota to ensure that Nigeria is what it is today. That's all I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Robert. Very shortly, Salas, you used to think that Nigeria, they have confidence that they will come. What we have witnessed in the 2023 general election, beginning from the February 25 presidential and National Assembly vote, and what played out today in the governorship and state assembly elections.
Okay, George, like I said earlier, we wait for a full report to know the level of the violence and the number of suppression and intimidation that the stealing of mandate that happened today. Okay, but if it's what I suspect today, it's going to do a lot of are going to feel betrayed. They felt between the past and the federal and SARS. They were asked to wait and democratically change the government if they don't want it. They have waited for 2 years afterwards. And now they can't go to the general, the street and the one. I remember what the Senate president said after the NSAS. He said, look, if you don't do something, the next time the next time to start to consume all of us. He said it at the Aluchi chambers of the Senate. So, and that statement, I don't know, like I put it, but I said, to make peaceful change possible, make violence inevitable. If people cannot remove bad politics, one day they can complete violence. So those who are imposing their will, the will of people, and bruising them with the process, they can succeed today, but change is constant. Not the one day something will happen or turn the tables around.
Well, that is the much we can take today in Nigeria Decides 2023 on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. Well, the voting process is on. I think voting itself is almost been concluded. Very soon we'll go to the next stage, which is the collation of results from across the state. And Nigerians are waiting with bated breath to really see what really comes out from the governorship and state assembly election. And this is the election most Nigerians and some members of the international community, like the election observers, are saying will determine whether the Nigerian democracy has really come of age. Because there had been the call that to actually address what happened in the presidential election, the governorship and state assembly election should be conducted in a free, fair, and peaceful manner. Well, it's still ongoing. As from tomorrow, even this night, we'll begin to see the outcome, which will actually tell us what INEC and the security agency did to ensure credible election in Nigeria. Thank you for keeping tab with us, and of course, I thank our in-house analysts for addressing the big issue, Nigeria Decides 2023. Join us same time on Monday for another edition of the big issue. Have a wonderful, pleasant week.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.